Educational philosopher John Dewey once remarked that play is children's work. If that's the case, then these elementary school students in Western China certainly seem to enjoy their jobs. It's a far different situation today than it was on May 12, 2008. On that fateful day, a powerful earthquake reduced large sections of China's Sichuan Province to rubble. Buildings collapsed. Homes were destroyed. More than 69,000 adults and children were killed.
I took my child in my arms and ran out. My husband was away at work. The walls of our house were collapsing and the tiles on the roof were falling. I was so scared I didn't know what to do. We all started to cry. Then the house began to fall.
Johnson & Johnson, as an expression of its core credo values, was among the first to offer help to organizations and people in the stricken region.
Johnson & Johnson has a long-standing commitment to disaster response and a legacy of responding that goes back to 1906 and the earthquake in San Francisco. Our first response is always the distribution of much-needed medical supplies and consumer products. But our primary focus is on recovery because we recognize that when there is a disaster, immediate response generally happens around the world, and then people move on to the next disaster. So our focus is largely on recovery.
According to the China Disabled Persons Federation, 2,000 children became disabled as a result of the 2008 Sichuan earthquake. Johnson & Johnson partnered with international NGO Save the Children to launch an inclusive education project in 12 schools in rural Sichuan Province.
We have special case-by-case training for each individual student. After the training, we better appreciated the individual needs of these children and designed specialized learning plans for them.
Zheng Li has a unique perspective. She is a primary school teacher, as well as the mother of a daughter with cerebral palsy. Her daughter is one of her students.
What Save the Children found was that in the mainstream schools, they were not equipped with the correct curriculum that addressed the needs of children with disabilities, either disabled from the earthquake or from other developmental issues. And so this was a good opportunity for them to introduce a program to address those specific needs.
Roughly half of China's 1.3 billion people live and work in less developed areas of the country. It's a way of life steeped in tradition. Historically, access to health care has been difficult in rural China. Save the Children launched a community health project in areas hardest hit by the 2008 Sichuan earthquake.
Almost all the mothers and children living in the area around Namba town have received treatment at this clinic. We use various ways to reach them. One is household visits. I visit rural families on a regular basis to share information with them. We talk with them about the importance of breastfeeding, proper nutrition, and those kinds of topics.
Life in Sichuan Province is gradually returning to normal. Still, it's easier to rebuild buildings than heal the human body. Thousands of people still battle chronic pain, a legacy of earthquake-related injuries. This is the rehabilitation department of an orthopedic hospital in the rural town of Dujianyun. The patients who come here are often in constant pain.
The pain was so bad that I couldn't sleep or even get out of bed. I couldn't cook a meal. I couldn't do anything.
Johnson & Johnson partnered with Project Hope, the well-known international NGO dedicated to providing lasting solutions to health problems. In Sichuan Province, the goal was to provide specialized orthopedic training.
What is unique about our response to disaster is that there are three principles that we operate under. First is that we work with and choose partners that have eyes and ears on the ground, because to us, they're the ones that can assess the situation and know what is truly needed. Secondly, is our response is always for the long term, as indicated by the fact that 3 years later, we are still in the process of completing some of the projects with these organizations. And thirdly, we not only work with these organizations to build and rebuild the communities, but our principle is to want to build it better.
While physical injuries can be easily observed, children have a way of hiding psychological trauma. Another project supported by Johnson & Johnson is an ambitious program to help some of the youngest survivors of the 2008 Sichuan earthquake to recognize and express their emotions. Healing the spirit can be just as challenging as healing the body.
We recognize that in addition to dealing with physical healing, that there's an emotional component of healing in the aftermath of a disaster. And children especially live in not just in pain, but also in fear. And the psychological counseling can help enormously in returning children to a sense of well-being and safety.
3 years can seem like an eternity to a child, but for some, it is barely enough time to begin the psychological healing process, putting memories of the 2008 Sichuan earthquake firmly in the past and building a new, more joyful narrative of their life.